Hey, in English, there is a very simple English rule that every native English speaker learns in middle school, high school, and even college. This simple English rule explains the power of the number 3. You see, when I was in middle school and high school and college, my English teachers always emphasized the importance of providing enough support for my thoughts, ideas, and opinions by giving 3 details, 3 examples, or 3 reasons. And this number 3 is what helps me sound like a native English speaker and speak English fluently. And today I am going to teach you this simple rule of 3s. Are you ready? Well, then I am teacher Tiffani. Let's jump right in. All right, so the simple rule of 3s. We're going to start off with part number 1. Part 1 of this rule is the 3 details part. You see, the first part of this rule focuses on the important details of the topic, subject, or person you are discussing. In other words, you want to help your listener visualize what you are talking about. You want to give them more information, which will help them understand and also help them to realize, wow, you are fluent in English. So what about a real life situation? Here we go. We're in this coffee shop. We see people making coffee. We see food on the table. How would we talk about this situation? Well, the topic is, tell me about your favorite coffee shop. And in response, I could say, my favorite coffee shop is Starbucks. Now, here's the truth. That is a good answer. I told you what my favorite coffee shop is, but remember, we're using the rule of 3s, the same rule I learned in school. So if we're using the rule of 3s, how can we give more details? Let's check it out. So we're going back to the coffee shop. Now, if I give detail number 1, it's very spacious. That is a fact or a detail. Detail number 2, they sell a wide variety of food and drinks. Once again, a fact or a detail. And detail number 3, they play ambient music. That is also a fact or a detail. So you see what's happening. As soon as I mentioned a wide variety of food and drinks, I mentioned ambient music, and I said that it's spacious, suddenly in the brain, in the mind of the listener, a picture starts to be created. That is when, again, the listener starts to feel like you're speaking fluently because they can connect. So having these details, how would we answer and give a fluent response? Here we go. Speaking English fluently using the 3 details. My favorite coffee shop is Starbucks. The one not too far from my house is very spacious. There is enough seating in the Starbucks for about 30 to 45 people. It sells a wide variety of food and drinks. One other unique thing about Starbucks is that the managers always have ambient music playing in the background. Now, you know that response was a fluent English response. You were able to understand everything I said, and you have a picture in your mind. Now, I want to explain a few words and expressions very quickly. We have spacious, wide variety, and ambient. So very quickly, I want to explain how to use these words in real life. So here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. That came out fast. The first one is spacious. So after me, spacious. Excellent. One more time. Spacious. Very good. Now, this word can be tricky. I want to remind you, too, if you haven't already downloaded the English with Tiffani app, download it now because I have a very good pronunciation course within the app. You can download it for free right now, and it will help you with pronunciation. Some words, just like spacious, are kind of tricky. So what does the word spacious mean? This means having or giving enough space or room. Vast extensive. In other words, very large or big. So I said the coffee shop, that's my favorite, Starbucks, is very spacious. It's large or big. We say spacious in English. Now, the next expression that came up right here, wide variety, wide variety. So let me explain what this expression means. It's a group of things that are very different from each other. Diverse group of things. So you saw in the video, let me go back and show you from the video. There were many different types of food and drink being served at the coffee shop. You see some popcorn, some broccoli, some bread. Many different things are available at the coffee shop. So that is exactly why we used wide variety, all right? Okay, so last time again, wide variety. Excellent. All right, now the last one I want to explain was at the very end. Ambient. Good. Ambient. Excellent. Now, ambient, this word just means creating a relaxing atmosphere. Think about it. When you walk into a coffee shop or a store and they have music playing in the background, and all of a sudden, whew, you just feel relaxed. We say they're playing ambient music. Makes sense, right? Okay, so again, now using the 3 details, which is part number 1 of this 3 simple rule, we have all of the information. We understand now how to give our response and sound like a native English speaker. This is part 1 of the rule of 3s. Now I want us to take a look at part number 2. Part number 2 involves 3 examples. The second part of this rule focuses on examples of the topic, subject, or person you are discussing. In other words, you want to help your listener understand more by giving them real-life example situations. Now, this part of the rule of 3s is very useful because the person will immediately connect with a real-life situation or experience. So let's say, for example, we're looking at this situation. We see a man and it looks like he's trying to lift weights and there's a trainer near him. So if the topic was, how are you liking your personal trainer? I could give a simple response. I'll be honest with you. My personal trainer makes me go hard every workout, but I really like him. So again, I've answered the question, but we now need to use the rule of 3s. Part 2, giving 3 examples. Remember that number 3. So let's give examples now. I said that I like him, but he makes me go hard every workout. The guy said that. Example number 1. On the first day of training, he made me do a 45-minute circuit workout that included running, squats, weightlifting, and push-ups. Now, immediately, you can imagine that situation like, whoa, that's a lot to do in one workout, giving you a real life example, real life situation. Now, what about example 2? When I'm sore, he tells me to push through the pain and then makes me go harder. Another real life example. And finally, example number 3. If I complain, he doubles my workout regimen for the rest of the week. So now we've organized our thoughts and we have 3 examples. Again, the rule of 3s, part 2 is 3 examples. So how would we speak fluently using these examples in our response? Let's take a look. Here we go. If I gave a response for this situation, I'll be honest with you. My personal trainer makes me go hard every workout, but I really like him. On the first day of training, he made me do a 45-minute circuit workout that included running, squats, weightlifting, and push-ups. After that workout, my entire body was screaming, but instead of letting me rest when I'm sore, he tells me to push through the pain and then makes me go harder. If I complain, He doubles my workout regimen for the rest of the week. Now, what did you notice? Yes, I gave a fluent English response, but because I showed you how I organized my thoughts, how I was able to come up with this long answer, it makes more sense. Using the rule of threes, I gave 3 simple examples to prove how I feel about my personal trainer, or how this man feels about his personal trainer. Makes sense, right? 3 simple examples. Now, let me explain some of the words that popped up and some of the expressions. The first expression was go hard. Let me explain what this means. Go hard. Now, go hard just means to work hard or to do something with intensity. You're not sitting there if you're jumping rope, just relaxing. No, you're jumping rope really fast. You are going hard. It means to put great effort into something, usually physical exercise. In English, we say go hard. Now, the next one in this response was circuit workout. What does that mean? Circuit workout. Now, a circuit workout or circuit training is a combination of 6 or more exercises performed with short rest periods between them, or for either a set number of repetitions or a prescribed amount of time. So let me explain. I have used this when I've worked out at the gym. I would go to the gym, I'd have my jump rope, I would do push-ups, sit-ups, then I would run in place, and then I'd add 2 other exercises. And I would do this in rotation. In between jumping rope and doing push-ups, I would rest for 30 seconds. This was my circuit workout or my circuit training. Maybe you enjoy doing circuit workouts when you go to the gym, all right? So again, after me, circuit workout. Excellent, very good, very good. All right, now the next one that popped up was right here. Body was screaming. How does your body scream? Let me explain. So your body was screaming. This means that your body is in a lot of pain and extremely sore. Think about it. After you work out at the gym, maybe you're working out on the treadmill and you're running hard, and then you have to go and lift some weights, and your body will start being in excruciating pain. We can say, whoa, my body was screaming. Makes sense, right? Again, a natural expression you can use today to sound more natural, all right? More like a native English speaker. Now, I have 3 more I want to explain to you. These 3, again, came from the last portion. Push through the pain, doubles, and regimen. So let me explain these 3 to you very quickly. Push through the pain. This just means to keep going even though something hurts. Even though your body is screaming, you don't stop. You keep going. We say push through the pain. Push through it. Don't stop. All right? Here's the next one. Double. Now, this just means to become twice as much or as many, or to make something twice as much or as many. Remember, in this response right here, he said, if I complain, he doubles my workout regimen, which means he makes him do twice as much. In English, we say double. Now, what about this regimen? What does regimen mean? Regimen is any set of rules about food and exercise that someone follows, especially in order to improve their health. It's basically a plan or a schedule you follow. For example, I enjoy food. As you all know, last week I taught you foodie. I'm a foodie, but I also want to stay healthy. So I eat breakfast at a certain time of the day. I eat lunch at a certain time of the day, and I try to eat dinner before 6 p.m. every day. This is my food regimen, what time I eat and also what I eat. I try not to eat lots of sweets. I try to eat healthier foods. So again, my health regimen or the food that I eat. We say regimen in English, all right? Okay, so again, we see our response speaking English fluently using 3 examples, explaining how his trainer treats him and how his exercise regimen is pretty difficult. But what about the third part of this very useful rule, the rule of 3s? Here's the third part, 3 reasons. Now, the third part of this rule focuses on giving specific reasons for your ideas on the topic, subject, or person you are discussing. In other words, you want to help your listener understand your thought process and how you developed your idea. This is a very important part of this rule. You know, I've had thousands upon thousands of students during my time as a teacher, and many of them knew what their idea was. They had an opinion. But when I asked them why, I don't know why, teacher. They had a hard time giving me the reasons to support their thoughts or ideas. But remember what I said earlier. This is a rule that teachers in middle school, high school, and college emphasize for native English speakers. So you must use this rule. So for that student, for those students, I also try to emphasize the importance of giving 3 reasons. Here we go. Let's look at a real situation. We see a mother hugging her daughter. So the topic would be, do you think it is important for parents to hug their children often? Well, my response is simple. Oh, yes. In my opinion, parents should hug their children multiple times a day. Now, that literally is my opinion, but I can't stop there. I need to give reasons, part 3 of the rule of 3s, to support my answer. So here we go. Reason number 1. A scientific study proved that holding children actually increases brain development. Reason number 2, hugging creates a strong bond between parents and their children. And finally, reason number 3, hugging also helps children know that they are loved, which leads to more self-confidence. So, again, my opinion has not changed, but now I have given 3 reasons to support my opinion, to help you understand how I developed or came to my idea or opinion. So what would this look like in a fluent English response? Here we go. Yes, in my opinion, parents should hug their children multiple times a day. Recently, I read a scientific study that proved that holding children actually increases brain development. On top of that, hugging creates a strong bond between parents and their children. Finally, hugging also helps children know that they are loved, which leads to more self-confidence. So all I used my 3 reasons. Again, the same 3 reasons I showed you underneath my response. And these reasons, following the rule of 3s, eventually turned into a fluent English response. Now, you'll see there are 3 expressions and vocabulary words, and I want to explain them to you very quickly. The first one is prove. Now, prove just means to demonstrate or to be the specified thing by evidence or argument, to show that something is true. So in other words, when you say I'm proving something, it just means you're showing the truth of something. You're giving a support that will prove something is real, that will show something is real. We say prove in English. And the other word, the other expression was on top of that. Look right here. I said on top of that, hugging creates a strong bond. Well, when you use on top of that, you're just saying additionally. Furthermore, in addition to something. So I want to add another idea, another reason, another point to support my idea. We say on top of that. And finally, we have this one right here. Strong bond. Again, creates a strong bond between parents and their children. Well, a bond between people is a strong feeling of friendship, love or shared beliefs and experiences that unite them. So we say bond or strong bond in English. Think about people you are connected with, people that you love and want to be around. You have a strong bond with those individuals. So again, we were able to give a very fluent English response to this topic, should parents hug their children, using part 3 of the simple rule of threes, giving the reasons. So once again, I hope you remember, just like my teachers taught me all throughout my school time, provide enough support for your thoughts, ideas, and opinions by giving 3 details, 3 examples, or 3 reasons. I really hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. I hope you apply the rule of threes, and remember, you can speak English fluently. All you have to do is learn the rules and learn how to think in English like a native English speaker. I will see you next week, but as always, remember to speak English. You still there? You know what time it is. It's story time. Hey, I said it's story time. All right. So today I taught you the rule of threes, and toward the end, I showed you an example of a mother hugging her child. So I want to tell you a story about my niece. Now, many of you have heard me talk about my nieces and how much I love them. I love being an auntie. But my youngest niece, so my mom, she actually babysat my youngest niece for about 2 years. From the time she was 2 years old all the way up until she was 4 years old. So she was at my house every day of the week. And there's something she did on a regular basis. As soon as she arrived at our house, again, I would be working in my office, she would ask my mom, she called my mom Gammy, Grandma, but Gammy, can I go see TT? My mom would say yes. And she'd run up the stairs, knock on my door, and I'd say, come in. And she would run to me and give me the biggest hug and kiss. Now, this happened every single day from the time she was 2 years old all the way up until she's 4 years old. Now she's in school, she's in kindergarten, pre-K right now. She's 5. And it created this strong bond between my youngest niece and I. Again, I'm close to all of my nieces, but my youngest niece, because every morning in her brain, she was going to get a huge hug, a big hug from her auntie. She looked forward to it. Now, fast forward to a few weeks ago. Now she's 5 years old. She doesn't come here every day. And she had come over to visit with her sister and my sister, well, her mom, which is my sister, and then my brother-in-law. The whole family came over, and with her older sister. So my brother-in-law, my sister, and the 2 kids were here. And she had come up to my room, gave me a hug, gave me a kiss, and she was talking to me. And so I said, hey, Munchkin, I call her Munchkin, do you want to go on a walk with TT? I needed to go take a walk to take a break from work. And she immediately said, yes. I said, okay, let's go. And she usually says yes whenever I ask her to go on a walk with me. As we were walking down the stairs to go outside on the walk, she said, TT, I said, yes, Munchkin. I wonder why I always say yes. Whenever you ask me to go on a walk, I immediately say yes. I said, yeah, you do. And I was just fascinated by this 5-year-old thinking logically about the situation. But then she said something. She said, you know, TT, I guess it's because I love you so much. And when I say my heart burst, I said, Munchkin, I love you too. And I gave her a big hug and a kiss. That moment will forever be imprinted in my mind and on my heart. This 5-year-old, again, for 2 years straight, every weekday morning would come upstairs. I'd give her the biggest hug and the biggest kiss, and there was a strong bond created. So much so that at the age of 5, she said, TT, I just love you so much. So my nieces bring so much joy to me, but I wanted to let you guys know that story because there's a strong bond that was created because of hugs that were given and kisses that were also given. So if you have someone in your life, your nieces, maybe nephews, or your own children, even your spouse, give someone a hug today and let them know how much you love them. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and today's story. I will see you next week. Please remember to subscribe, remember, so that you can also get notifications. And don't forget to download the English with Tiffani app. The link is in the description. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.